Hey guys, and greetings from Thousand Trails Pacific City, which is just an amazing campground located on the Oregon coast, southwest of Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, and today we want to talk to you about the distance that we traveled, which was incredible. We came all the way from Colorado to west coast of Oregon, and oh my gosh, it was a beautiful drive, but whew, what a feat.
Yeah, so what the point of this is to discuss how far do you travel each day? How much of a distance do you bite off to try to make long trips when you're wanting to get from one side of the country to the middle, or in our case, the middle of the country, basically from Denver to Portland. Mm-hmm. So the trip was about 1,350 miles. And so entirely impossible to do in just a few days.
Right.
So we chopped it down to 5 days, 300 miles approximately per day. One day was a little shy of that, maybe two, but nonetheless, every day we were driving for at least 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
The final day it was almost 6. And so what do you do when you're planning out a trip and you're hauling? In our case now, we've got 23,000 pounds behind us with a 44-foot DRV mobile suite fifth wheel. But we, just came from a toy hauler, 41-foot toy hauler. Mm-hmm. And frankly, that was more difficult because we've upgraded our tow hitch and so on. Some of you are driving Class A's. Some of you are driving, lighter, shorter rigs. But the bottom line is, none of us are driving just a car.
Right.
And it makes a huge difference in, how you take on mileage, the wear and tear on your rig, and the wear and tear on your brain and your body. So what we try to do is to do 300 miles per day for 1 or 2 days, and then make a stop for a couple of days.
Right. And then what kind of things do you do? I mean, do you stay at a KOA? Do you do that boondocking at Walmart? Or there's so many different things that you can choose from, but I would like to know what kind of, things that you decide to do or choose to do. It's just like,
as far as making those one-nighters.
Yes.
And so we call those campsites pit stop campsites. And so we have chosen to stick with KOAs as much as possible. Mm-hmm. It's an easy, it's an app reservation system. Sign up for their rewards program.
Yes.
I think it was, $20 or something. But you get a 10% discount at every location that you go to. Mm-hmm. And you have a reliable place to stay. At least we haven't had any trouble with KOAs. Now, they certainly aren't scenic park type campsites like what we're in right now, but they work. They're usually you can get a pull through with a large rig, and if you have to stay 2 nights to give yourself a breather, there are worse things. And so our recommendation is that you limit it to about 300 miles per day, and you don't do more than 2 days, and then you give yourself a day break. I know that that's not the most economical way to do it, and I'm sure there's a lot of opinions out there, but if you're given the choice, you really should give yourself a rest. I mean, even as a passenger, it's draining.
Yes.
To be hauling one of these rigs across the country.
Right. And and It is very taxing. It's taxing on the passenger as well as definitely on the driver. And you know, when you're hauling this home on a highway or a roadway or whichever way you're traveling, it's, you know, it takes a lot of energy. You have to, you know, stay focused. There's so much going on, and so, you know, it is very taxing. And I think that if you push yourself too much, you know, you're in for unnecessary hiccups or
Right.
unforeseen, I mean, hopefully not an accident or a bump
Yeah.
or two. So
Yeah. And, you know, those are the things that can literally change your life, but a little less dramatic, certainly can delay you and so on. Because what we know is we have RV fatigue when
Yes.
we are driving.
that's a good way to say it. A good point. Yeah, RV fatigue.
It's a scientific term.
Is it?
Yes. And what basically I'm referring to is
Right.
once you've been driving, and as Chris says, even as a passenger, but certainly as a driver, you can't just drift off and listen to the tunes like you do when you're on a road trip in a car. You're constantly having to be in tune with what your rig is up to. You know, your driving position. You can never drift into the shoulder or what have you. You've got to be very conscious of your speed going into corners and so on, and this takes a toll.
Definitely.
And then when you hit your spot, you know, things happen. You can mess up part of your install when you arrive at your destination. Or you can lock your dogs in the truck while
my
it's
gosh.
running, as we did in Salt Lake City at KOA. Long story, but a happy ending, and that was that. But the bottom line is, you know, first of all, we want your input as to how you handle travel. Any hints, any tips, comment below. Please subscribe to our channel.
Yes.
In case you are a first-time viewer to Rolling Help, we're RVers. Our channel is about RVing and travel, but we are a purpose-driven mission.
Right.
We raise money through rollinghelp.org to donate to food banks in so many of the small towns that we all drive past when we're on the road as RVers. So subscribing to our channel helps us defer some of our costs as we go about this mission, because we cover all the costs of our RV travel and so forth. So that's our pitch. But in the meantime, be safe out there.
Yes.
And thanks so much for tuning in to
Rolling
Rolling Help.
Help.